And welcome
to Sports Palooza Radio.
That's right.
Are you ready for this?
Hey, yo, listen, it's going down just like this.
Like a breath of fresh air.
Who's ready for
Lisa Nucci, and EJ, the Rainmaker.
We are now live in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sports Palooza Radio. I am EJ, the Rainmaker, and I'm here with Lisa Iannucci, who's feeling a little under the weather today. Hello, Lisa.
Hey, everybody. I hope it sounds like me. I think I'm kind of squeaky.
Wow, listen to the voice. Sounds like a little mouse running around. All right, we have a nice show today. Obviously, it's the Super Bowl edition of our show, with Super Bowl Sunday on deck coming up with Denver and Seattle. We're going to have on Doug Upstone from 3dailywinners.com. He's one of the handicappers over there. We're going to talk some football. We have on Jimmy Spence, who's also from JSA Authentications. We were at the card show down in Westchester a couple of weeks ago. And we talked to Jim about coming on the air and discussing some of the stuff that he does to get authentications for signed balls and signed memorabilia for sports, and we're going to have him on. And so we're going to get right into sort of sports today. We got the Super Bowl coming up. Honey, who are you rooting for in the Super Bowl this year?
I'm rooting for the Packers, but anyway, I'm rooting for Peyton and the Broncos. I really would like to see them win this year. I just think it's his year, and I surely think he's going to pull this out.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying it could even be his last year. There was a couple of interviews I saw where they were like, well, if you win the Super Bowl, you're going to go out on top like John Elway did, and the whole repeat of the Denver winning Super Bowl, retire on the spot. And Peyton has no real intention of retiring at all. It's not something he said. I'm not done playing. But obviously, we all know about the neck injuries and what really kind of cost him his, time with the Colts, where they just said, we don't think you're able to go. And so he went to Denver and said, yeah, look at me now. Who's not ready to go? So, if the doctors say you're good to go, then he'll keep playing, I'd imagine. I don't really see him win the Super Bowl. And obviously, if they lose the Super Bowl,
yeah,
boy, that's going to motivate him a ton. Not that he hasn't already sealed his whole Hall of Fame career. I mean, Peyton Manning's going to go to the Hall of Fame, first ballot, no doubt.
Yeah, I just, as soon as you start talking about retiring, I get this bad taste in my mouth from all the, is he going to retire? Isn't he going to retire? Brett Favre debacle, and that's the one thing I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I don't want to hear that Peyton's going to retire and then doesn't and then does and then doesn't, I just don't want any of that. I know it sounds crazy, but, I just don't want, I want to see him go out with a blaze of glory and a big celebration and, retiring his number and the whole bit and give him really the show that he deserves.
Yeah, I don't think there would be any kind of debacle like the Brett Favre thing where I quit, no, I'm not done. Wait, I quit, no, I'm not done. I think Peyton's above that. If the doctors say that your neck is in danger, there's no way he's just going to go play anyway. If the doctors say, sorry, you might want to get out of there, and he will. I mean, he's come out and said, you know what, if the doctors don't think I'm ready to go play, I'm not just going to say I'll do what I want too bad. He's going to retire if it comes down to that. But we'll see what happens. This should be an exciting game. Obviously, the weather is, they're talking about the weather here, and we don't see much of a weather being a factor. I mean, it's going to be cold. We're in New York. It's cold.
Yeah, but it's exciting. I mean, it's just exciting that it's here. You see every time you turn on the TV stations in New York, you have something going on with the Super Bowl, and they're showing Times Square and all the activities that are going on, and you really just want to get in your car and drive down there and be in just the middle of it all, and it's just an exciting time in New York right now. Even though our teams aren't in there and the New York teams aren't in there, it's just made this whole time really special here.
Yeah, you know what else is really contributing to that is the whole Yankee Stadium stuff going on. They played a couple of hockey games outside Yankee Stadium, and so now everyone's kind of getting that outdoor feel for sports, and that 2 week layoff between the championship games and the Super Bowl. Really, hockey kind of really filled that whole void. I mean, there's been a couple outdoor games. There was one out in L.A. Dodger Stadium, and that was awesome. I mean, what a
that
good
really
time.
was.
That was cool. I mean, the Ducks went in, beat L.A. 3-0. That was a great game. And then the Yankees. I did it again. I was talking about the Yankee game the other day. Hey, the Yankee game is on. No, wait. No, they're in Yankee Stadium. All right. Anyway, so the Rangers swept the series with Jersey and the Islanders. That was nice. Now Lundqvist is 3-0 all time outdoors, which is fine with me. I'm a Ranger fan, so that's cool. But I think that really has contributed to all the excitement leading up to the Super Bowl, the outdoor hockey. I mean, we had fun watching some outdoor hockey.
Yeah, it was. It was really funny to see the outdoor hockey and then see, like, the volleyball, you know, and the sand stuff right next to it.
Yeah.
Such a contradiction of the cold ice and the warm sand. It was really funny. But I think they did a great job presenting that whole thing, and I just thought it was a lot of fun to watch, you know.
Yeah, I think it's fun seeing Yankee Stadium all decked out in hockey attire. I mean, that's cool. When you can make a turn at a baseball stadium, which is obviously strictly a baseball stadium. I mean, Yankee Stadium is built for one thing. It's one baseball. I think it was cool how they really made it look presentable. I mean, you know, and they filled that place up. And there was tons of people at those games. I mean, that's exciting stuff.
And, you know, getting back to the Super Bowl, I mean, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people tune into the Super Bowl, or they say that they tune into the Super Bowl for the commercials, not even for the game. And it's interesting because there was this study that came out that this company, I don't know if you pronounce it Ledger or Ledger, it's L-E-G-E-R.
I think it's Ledger.
And they conducted a survey, and they said that 71% of the respondents in this survey planned to watch the Super Bowl, but more than a quarter of them were more interested in the commercials than they were in the game. And I found that really kind of interesting. I mean, I'm a huge football fan, so I'm going to watch the game whether, you know, my team's in it or not, and I'm going to watch the commercials. But I know that over the years, the commercials have really been a highlight of the game itself. And it says that what I find interesting about this is they only interviewed 1,000 people. And that bothers me because even when you read all these medical studies that say, oh, we studied 100 people. Well, who cares about 100 people? Who cares about 1,000 people? Millions of people watch the Super Bowl.
Billions.
Yeah, right, exactly. And, you know, you're talking about, you know, a lot of them tune in for the commercials, and it's great, and everybody's talking about the commercials. But I just think that was a misleading study. And, you know, we'll get.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally, when my team isn't there like they're now again this year, I look forward to the commercials. I mean, they have some great commercials. I mean, these things. Obviously, we already heard that Bud Light commercial kind of got stuck out.
The Budweiser, yeah, Budweiser. And it's funny because this study actually said that the people that they interviewed that predicted that Budweiser would have the funniest ad, and that GoDaddy.com would have the worst spot. And they also projected that Budweiser would have the best ad. Now, I don't know if Budweiser is going to have more than one ad, but they have one that leaked out over the last couple days, which I watched, and it brought a tear to my eye. It was fantastic. It brought the Clydesdale horses back, and it combined them with an adopted dog, and right then and there, you know where this is going. Yeah. And it was fantastic. I actually tweeted about it, and Budweiser. It was really cool, and, like, favorited my tweet, and I got so excited. I was like, they know that I liked it.
Yeah, you did.
And it's just a fantastic commercial, and you know, props to them on that. And if that's one of more to come, then I'm looking forward to seeing what else they have this year.
Yeah, it'd be cool. As long as Danica's in that GoDaddy thing, we're all the guys will be happy.
Hey, where's the evenness? Like, where's GoDaddy presenting to the women out there?
No,
you know,
women don't need websites. Only guys need websites.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have a talk with GoDaddy to make sure that they make this a little even for the women out there, because women watch football too. I mean, you know, we're actually a large part of the viewing audience.
Yeah, no doubt. And
not that we're sitting there waiting to oogle these guys on TV, but come on, appeal to the women, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Do you have your pork rinds, honey?
I'm ready. We got our wings, we got our pork rinds, we got the big screen TV, and we're gonna be sitting here watching the game. I was speaking with one of my friends last night online over at Twitter, Michelin, and we were talking about if we were going to the game or not, and we actually had an opportunity to go. I mean, Ryan did offer us that opportunity to go, and we declined. We have a few friends who had tickets, and we're like, "Do you want to go? Are you thinking about going?" And we were like, "You know what? I'd rather be warm." So we're going to stay home and be warm.
Yeah, and considering I sound like this, I really would just prefer to be sitting home watching the game and having the best seat in the house. Yep. And speaking of stereotypes, you will be doing the cooking this weekend, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
So so I'm excited.
Yeah, all right. Let's get started. We got Doug Upstone from 3 Daily Winners on the line with us today, and Doug and I are going to talk some football. Doug, how are you doing today, man?
I am doing excellent. How are you guys doing today?
Nice. We're doing great, man. Thanks so much for coming on and talking some football with us this week.
No, absolutely. My pleasure to be on.
Yeah, you have something in common with my wife, man. Lisa is the biggest Packer fan, probably as big as you.
Well, yeah. It's the ride has been interesting over the last few years, and obviously we've been very fortunate, with Brett Favre, and then going to Aaron Rodgers, and we also have been able to see what life is like without a top-notch quarterback as well.
Yeah, I was actually, as much as I know that we didn't have a great year, I was actually pretty impressed. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on the quarterback to fill big shoes, and I really thought that he kept us in the running, he kept us going, and had that not have happened, we wouldn't have even had those chances we would have had towards the end of the season. So I was pleased, So, I mean, next year, there's always next year. Like EJ and I were just talking about, we will definitely be sitting in front of the TV watching this game, but, I really would have liked to have seen them there. But I was excited about how they played.
Yeah, I think the key to next year and with that is going to be the defense. I mean, I think the offense will be fine, but they've spent a lot of money and higher draft choices on defense, and there's been a lot of injuries and a lot of indifference, I guess would be the best way to put it. So I think if there might be some heat, and there already is some heat. I've seen different blogs and stuff about the Packers, concerning the draft choices and if these guys are ultimately going to pan out or not. So we'll have we'll have to see.
Right, and before you guys get into the Super Bowl stuff, I mean, my last comment about that is the team just needs to understand that when they lose one player, the whole team doesn't have to fall apart. I mean, you lose Clay Matthews, and all of a sudden their defense isn't doing well. You lose Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden we're not doing well. We are a team, and we need to be continuing to be part of a team and work together and need to all be strong, not just have this one player carry us on each of our sides. So, that's my opinion, and I'm not like a football expert. I'm just a fan, and that's my disclaimer. So I'm going to let you guys talk some sports and some lines here.
All right, Doug. Yeah, it's cool. All right. Well, obviously, we've got a big game coming up this weekend. Did you hear about it, Doug? What do you think?
I did hear something about it. I saw some commercials.
Yeah, there are going to be a couple commercials, man. I'm looking forward to those, too. I mean, it's hard not to look forward to those. It's kind of been like an iconic thing the last 10, 15 years, right?
Right. Well, the commercials. I mean, that's half the enjoyment of the game. I mean,
it is.
And obviously on occasion, you run into some dud games, which I don't think this one will be. But you run into some games that have had some blowouts and whatever. And so, if nothing else, the commercials put a smile on your face, and it impedes people from going to eating and drinking. When there's no action in the game, because you never know what might be the next great commercial you're going to see.
Right. No doubt, man. I'm looking forward to the commercials, especially when obviously your Packers are out of it, my Giants are out of it. So give me a good commercial. Like I said, as long as Danica Patrick's wearing something scanty, I'm happy with that.
Shut up.
There you go.
All right, Doug, let's get into the game a little bit, man. Obviously, we know Denver's favored a little bit here, but 1.5 points. And that total kind of moved up. It opened at 47. Now it looks like it's creeping up to 48 all over the place. And man, it's going to be quite a game. Obviously, the Vegas isn't really going to tip their hand yet about who's betting on what and what's going to happen here. But what do you think about it? What are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be, I think the spread is accurate, and I would not be surprised if the line continues to move as it has back towards Seattle. Obviously, they opened up at -1.5 or -1 depending on the sports book, and then it flew all the way to -3 with a lot of Denver money, huge, both in terms of public money and in terms of some pretty sharp guys also taking them. But as it's gone along, it keeps going back the other way. I think I do have an opinion on it. Unfortunately, at my 3dailywinners.com site, and by the way, that's the number 3dailywinners.com, is I am selling that, but the interesting thing about this is the total is I think that it sat for a long time. I think you're starting to see now that it appears the weather, is going to, everyone's satisfied with what the weather's going to be, and I think that it's going to creep up as you just said. I think people think that Denver is going to, be able to score some more points. I don't think there's any doubt they're going to move the ball. It's just a matter of, are they able to convert it into touchdowns, or do they have to settle for field goals?
Yeah, and obviously kicking field goals in Giant Stadium is not a good time. Being a Giant fan, I think it's cool the correlation that with Eli Manning winning a Super Bowl and when Peyton was at the Colts and he won a Super Bowl in his house, it's almost that destiny factor where now Peyton Manning's coming to Eli's house and he might have a pretty good chance to win a Super Bowl here. I mean, I like that kind of weird storyline stuff. That just happens to be that Denver's playing the Super Bowl in Giant Stadium. I mean,
right.
I love those guys.
I'm a big fan of symmetry myself, as to where, certain elements come together and stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. We like to talk about it beforehand a lot of times, and if it happens, that's great, but, it doesn't always happen, and so, for any number of obviously different reasons. And I think I did not see the weather, the wind direction, but I did see that they're talking about 10 to 20 miles an hour. Now, is that supposedly, because as I recall, at least on the games on TV, it tends to go from the right of your screen to the left. Is that correct?
That's correct. And it's Giant Stadium. There's a 10-mile-an-hour breeze when it's calm. So there's going to be a breeze there no matter what. The kicking game has never been fun, and you get kicking a cold ball. Obviously, by halftime, they're talking it being in the high 30s or low 30s, somewhere in there. So it's going to be close to freezing after halftime. That's going to be where I think it's going to be interesting when they go into the break. They have that long break, obviously, because of the halftime show this year. It's not going to be a normal break, so they're going to be in there for a good half hour. So I'm wondering how they're going to come out of the gate in the second half. Because, you get all gunned up and ready to go for that first half, and, you play your first half, and whatever the score will be, But that second half is going to be interesting. It's going to be cold. Your adrenaline's going to be worn off a little bit. That's what I'm interested to see, man. But, obviously we have the best offense going up against the best defense here. We know defense wins championships, so it's kind of scary, man, because the Seattle defense is no joke. And I think Sherman really kind of blew a little bit of that with opening his mouth. I think more people took Denver on Monday after the championship game just because of Richard Sherman.
Right. Well, and the thing about that, in prior Super Bowls, there has been three other ones where the number one offense has faced the number one defense, and in three of those instances, the defensive team won. So I'm not saying that's a precedent necessarily, but it's certainly of note. And then looking at it, in terms of just the key factors, you look at the Seattle secondary, and they seem to match up pretty well, because they have so many guys that they can play, so they can they have guys that can defend the slot. So they have a full complement of secondary players. Plus, then Peyton Manning is not a mobile quarterback, and so from the standpoint of a pass rush, I would think that Seattle certainly would have the ability to to get to him. So I'd be really curious to see what Denver is going to do to try and move the ball in that case. Because, the other element that comes into play here is that as opposed to a lot of teams that face Seattle, and, of course, then we get the call of Omaha. What we find there is that, he's just looking to see how many guys are in the box, okay, and determine whether to run or pass. But because Seattle primarily plays just a 4-3 defense, you won't see nearly as much of that going forward. So I think the tight end for Denver could be a very important factor, in their offense and really moving the ball and getting Marino the ball out in, some quick screens. I think that could loosen up and really help Denver in terms of their offense against that defense.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Denver really hasn't faced a mobile quarterback. Even recently, you're talking about San Diego and New England. We know Tom Brady will stand in the pocket. He might do a quarterback sneak here and there, but he's not running the ball. And obviously, Philip Rivers. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, obviously, Philip Rivers is the same way. It's just he's not going to move the ball. If he gets into any kind of trouble, he's throwing the ball away. And Russell Wilson is not a kind of a quarterback. He's almost in that same genre as Colin Kaepernick. If there's nothing there, he'll tuck the ball down. I just hope Seattle has a better game plan this week than they did last week, because what Are you really going to tell me that the first play you want to run is a quarterback roll out to your weak side? They fumbles the ball. They're already down. They obviously worked their way out of it. But Seattle's got to have a better game plan than rolling out the quarterback to his non-throwing side. I hope Pete Carroll has a better plan for this week.
Yeah, I think that in terms of what I was about to say before was that the last time Denver faced a mobile quarterback was Robert or RG3, or now he's more referred to Robert Griffin III. Now that he hasn't been as well. Was the last game in October. So it certainly has been a while since Denver has seen something like this. And to your point, I think what Seattle was looking to do because their offense had been so stagnant, for weeks, is that a lot of times they do generate bigger plays, and I think this could happen again for them. Is when he does roll out to when Wilson rolls out to his left. Him and Kaepernick both have the unique ability to do that because they are able to square their shoulders. When they get out, whereas most quarterbacks don't when they roll to essentially what's called the wrong side. And so I think that's what Seattle's trying to do is just to get him out and see what could happen. And obviously, just the bad luck of, they didn't block well. Guy could bust through, and then Wilson drops the ball. I think that's where some of their plays could come, Seattle, in terms of big pass plays. And actually, one of the reasons why I am on Seattle with Wilson on the over 199.5 yards for passing on a prop is because of that. Because Seattle's secondary, Denver's secondary, they have some good players like Rogers Cromartie, but they're not really designed to to handle these, let's just call them smaller receivers like Seattle has, and who are particularly good at scrambles when to run up, find open areas, and I think that's where they could make some yards. Another key factor I think for Seattle offensively is going to be a better use of the tight end because Denver linebackers are horrible in guarding tight ends. So I think Zach Miller, if they throw the ball to him, and I'm just going to say I'm going to assume they will because of breaking down the film, I think that that could be another key for Seattle offensively to move the ball.
Yeah, and obviously there's a guy named Campbell back there who's pretty good too. Yeah, this game is actually tougher than I think people are. I mean, obviously I think that Denver has the whole, fly-by pan because of the whole story with Peyton and leaving the Colts and how he left there and how he's been such a people-person quarterback. And he was great. He was great at media day too, man. It looked like he had a blast at media day. Man, I think Seattle has a pretty damn good shot at winning this game. I really do. Like you said, that top-ranked offense, that offense is no joke, man. And obviously, we know Peyton wants to. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, it's just that team is impressive. Like you said, they can cover anybody, and obviously Denver has more wide receivers who can catch the ball. They're impressive. All four of those guys can catch a football, and they're going to be a threat. The thing, I'm not going to make a big deal out of Percy Harvin coming back because he's probably played about 30 snaps all year. He doesn't know how to take a hit. Every time he gets hit, he's getting concussed and knocked around. He needs to learn how to get on the ground and not take a hit because if he gets hit anymore, he won't be playing in this game either. So I'm amazed that everyone's making such a big deal about Percy Harvin coming back. I mean, Percy Harvin hasn't even played this year. What is he really going to bring?
Well, he brings diversity to their offense, but I agree with you that he took 3 hits in the game against New Orleans, and I have never seen this before. He spit his mouth guard out 3 times in terms of the hits. I mean, I've never seen a guy really do it more than once. That I can certainly remember. So, Denver obviously, they know that no matter where Harvin's going to be in the field, the first thing they want to do, he's not in football shape, and so the idea is to lay the wood to him. And if you can get him out of the game, like New Orleans did, that just makes their situation that much easier.
It does. It does. Now I know you don't want to go official here because you have to, you have customers and you're going to have to make, do your business stuff, but. Yeah,
I'd say the biggest thing is going to be I think it should be a fantastic game. In terms of the over and under, myself, I would lean to. I don't really have a strong opinion, and I'm not selling one or getting one out, but I would lean towards the under ultimately because I just think that both coaches, and this has to do more with coaching than does anything else, is that if you've noticed that Denver's on a 5-0 under run coming into this game. And I think that what's happened is John Fox, by his nature, is more conservative. And I know you remember him from his days when he was the coordinator, back with the Giants. And I just think it's just his nature. And so when they gotten into the more the red zone area or inside the 35, he wants to make sure they come away with points more so than, trying to make the big play, into the end zone. And I would think that would certainly be the case even more so against Seattle's secondary.
Yeah, and as you say that, Seattle's hit 7 unders in a row themselves and 8 of the last 9.
Right.
So they're obviously an under team as well, and both the playoffs are definitely the playoffs. You hamper down and you definitely put your best foot forward on defense. But man, I don't think I can take this under myself, Doug. I really don't think that this game's going to be a 17-10, 23-17 type game. Denver's going to score. I understand Seattle's defense is what it is, but man, I understand what Seattle's done and how they got here. They shut down obviously 2 pretty good quarterbacks and held them to 17 and 15. That wasn't Peyton Manning, and this isn't for Peyton. What Peyton Manning's playing for today is a lot more than just another game to him. This could potentially be his last game. Is it going to be? I'll say no. I assume the doctors are going to make sure that he'll let him know. He's talking about it. I mean, obviously we know in the media he's talking about it. He said he came out and said, I've been talking to John about this, John Elway, obviously, about what it means to leave on top and what he should do and all that. But remember, he also mentioned that John Elway was physically done. I mean, Peyton Manning's not physically done because he doesn't get hit. He doesn't have John Elway would run the ball. He had no problem tucking the ball in, running around. Everybody remembers that one almost touchdown he had where he was doing flips in the air. He's not the same quarterback, man. I personally think this game's going to be a little bit more high scoring than the 47, 48 points. I think it's going to be a game in the 20s, man.
Yeah, I would agree with the 20s. I'm leaning towards the low 20s. That's So I think the number. Actually, I don't have a strong opinion. Or I should say a strong feeling on it. But my opinion would be that I would lean towards the under. In fact, I made one of the prop bets. It was you could take 43 to 49 points, and that's what I took.
Wow, and that falls right.
So there was a range. So that's the one I took. It actually has the lowest payout, but then I really thought that was an accurate assessment, of let's just say a fair way to make a wager on something like that. Wow. So you're not afraid of 27-24 type game? That would be a little over what I would think, but yeah. But could I see it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, those games you talked about where the best defense was playing against the best offense. Somehow you found that team with the best defense still found a way to score. I mean, they can score on defense too. You know what I mean? That's a factor because obviously we know that Seattle has guys who can run the ball back, and Peyton has been known to make a mistake or two here. Man, I think there's going to be at least 7 or 14 points or at least 10 points on a turnover where they put themselves in a position where they only need about 5-10 yards, kick a field goal. Yeah, that's where I'm concerned because the good defenses in the NFL find ways to score and help their team on offense too.
Absolutely, they sure do. Yep, I agree 100% on that.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I'm personally going to take the over myself. I think that there's going to be some scoring here. I mean, if it's 17-10 halftime, we're more than well on our way to going over. And I don't know. I could certainly see a 17-13, even if it's wow. I don't know. I like this over, Doug. I hate to say it.
That's fine. Everyone in this game has an opinion about everything, about every possibility. So that's what makes it all the much more intriguing.
Yeah, that's true. And obviously you don't want to give a pick on your side here, and I'm struggling with this side bet too. Seattle's certainly not going to lay down because, it's Peyton Manning. What are we ever going to possibly do to stop him? Sure. I mean, Seattle's going to have. I think they're going to have plenty of success stopping Peyton here and there, but I still think Denver's obviously going to score too. I like this over. The side's tough. I don't want. I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to take Denver just out of principle alone because of like we said with Sherman opening his mouth and who Peyton Manning is. And the fans in New York are definitely going to be rooting for Denver because of Peyton. I mean, we love Eli Manning here. And Peyton Manning is his brother. We don't not root for Eli's brother here. So It's going to be tough,
Right.
Doug.
In fact, I give you two bits of information here. As literally as of this moment, in terms of bets placed, that Denver has attracted just over 70% of the action, and that's the entire time. But I do know also for a fact that in terms of, let's just say, handicappers that I know and everything else, I would say it's about the exact opposite, where I would say 70% or thereabouts are going to be on Seattle.
Yeah, and that line, I think it's because of the line, Doug. If Denver's so much better than Seattle, why are they barely favored? I mean, I think that has something to do with it. Because everybody, like you said, the public's going to be all over Denver, and a lot of fly-by-night make bets on this game that don't normally make bets during the season. The people that say, you know what, I like Denver, I'm gonna slap $100 on Denver to win the Super Bowl this year. And in that case, I'd rather see people just take the money line. I mean, why would you even lay the 1.5? If it's a 24-23 type game, Seattle, it could be a 1-point game here. There's no argument that there could be a 1-point game here somehow, 28-27,
right.
24-23, somewhere in there. So I'd rather see someone take Denver money line. I mean, you're still only talking like -112, -115 at most to take them just to win outright and save yourself with the 1.5, because it could be a 1-point game here. Oh, boy, Doug. All right.
I know. That's what makes this such an interesting game. A lot of times when you get this, the 6 or 7 or even 10-point spreads, everybody lines up on the underdog money line, chasing the larger not win probability, the larger money and the better payout. But in this case, that's not the case. I mean, you have two evenly matched teams. I mean, this to me is just, from the boxing vernacular, is that that style makes the fight, or style and or contrast makes the fight, and this is exactly what you have here. So I can't wait.
Yeah, and this is not like the New England Giants Super Bowl where New England was favored by 13 points, and you take, now you take the Giants money line, you get +800, +900, now. There's no kind of value like that here. So, yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Like, this is not that type of Super Bowl where taking a dog is a huge value. I mean, it's you'll get your +110 or whatever, but there's not tremendous value in taking a dog here. Yeah, I agree. All right, so tell me what else you cover over at 3 Daily Winners. You cover some college hoops and NBA stuff too over there, right?
We do the full gamut, the college hoops, the NBA, hockey. In fact, in hockey, myself personally, I changed my handicapping strategy. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I've changed my handicapping strategy in all sports over the last 18 to 24 months. Just have came across some different ways of doing things. And in hockey, I have the highest winning percentage at the 4 monitors that I'm at, and I'm number 3 in the NBA at another monitor that I'm at. You can see that on my Facebook at Doug Upstone or at 3 Daily Winners to see what monitors those are. And so yeah, it's an interesting time. It's a lot of fun, and there's always value to be had. And there's always multiple ways to skin the cat, if you will, in terms of what you can do and how you view things.
Yeah, and obviously I handed you a bunch of my plays I'm going to be making today, and I want to see if you want to discuss any of those. Any one of those plays any one of those plays that strike your fancy and make you say, you know what, I agree with that.
Well, actually, there's in terms of agreement, I definitely agree with. Speaking of the NHL, to start with, Philly and Anaheim at over 5.5. I believe those teams have a history too of playing over, if I remember correctly, and so yeah, I would certainly I would go with that. Boston and Montreal, that is at 5, and the way the Bruins have been scoring lately, goodness, 6 goals in each of their last 3 games. I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but they have certainly the size advantage over Montreal to really work the corners. So I could see them, being able to put up a few goals. And Rask, for historically in his time as the goalie for Boston, he has had his problems with Montreal, especially with their speed and their snipers. When they get close to the net. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me there. And what's the other? In college basketball, you mentioned I think it was North Dakota on the money line, and that's another one I can certainly see that too. Yeah,
North Dakota. They played twice in recent times, and North Dakota's beaten them twice, and Eastern Washington's coming off a debacle their last time out. I just, I don't know if you use. I don't know what sports books you use, but I'm a Diamond guy. I've always used Diamond for at least 8 years, and they have a contest. I don't know if you ever get in their contest over there. They have a contest. It's a street contest, basically like Covers does, where you hit 5, you hit 9, you hit 13, you get awards. And my play for today was the Nebraska Indiana under 139. I don't see how these two are going to hit 70 each. Really, 70 each. That's not going to happen. I think.
Well, you must have more influence than you realize, because now the number's down to 138. So you should know that.
Yeah.
But along with that too is that I end up writing about this, because I write a line moves article every day for 3 daily winners, and it's distributed to other sites as well. And in Indiana's last 3 games, they've only averaged 56.3 points a game. And though Nebraska scored 82 in their last time out, they were also averaging well below 65 points in their 3 prior games. So, to that end, if you believe that, what has happened is going to be the forecaster of what was to come, the under certainly looks like a very strong play in that case. And both teams have been, Indiana plays good defense in general. Nebraska, like most teams, they play better defense at home. So, it would certainly lend itself to thinking that both teams are going to be in the 60s, and the under would be the play.
Yeah, I mean, to see one of them in the 70s would be a shock. To see them both in the 70s and hit that 139.5 that I had, that's just really, like you said, luckily when they do those contest plays, they don't move the lines during the day. So you can still go to the contest area over at Diamond Sportsbook right now, and it's free. They don't. Yeah. All you need is an account there to play this contest and hit a streak and work your way up. I mean, if they pay you for even $25 for getting a streak of 5, they'll put $25 in your account, and there you go. So
there you go.
That's great. I love that. How many sportsbook actually just give away money for something stupid like that? I mean, everyone thinks sportsbook. Everyone thinks sportsbook.
That's smart. That's encouraging people to do stuff.
Yep, exactly. I mean, why wouldn't you want people involved? Offer a way to get money. I think that's a great ploy by them to get people to even just be on their site to begin with. Much less, you don't even have to fund your account to be a part of the sportsbook, and that's cool. And I love that sportsbook though.
Yeah, they've done a great job for years.
Yeah. Are you going to discuss any NBA with anybody? You want to give away a pick in NBA?
Well, yeah, I do. And here's something to consider tonight. Now, in fact, there's been a big line move on this one. Phoenix is at Indiana tonight, and and the Pacers, obviously, we know they're the best team in the NBA. And they actually have the second best spread record also. And so they went from 10 to 12 against Phoenix tonight, who won last evening and covered. I was on them actually last night, and so Phoenix is coming off with no rest. And so, I get the whole point of why everybody thinks that, Phoenix is the play. Indiana's the play. They're 21-1 at home, 16-6 against the spread on their home floor. But the thing to consider here is that Phoenix is 16-6, okay? 17-6 on the road, okay, so far this season. And they're actually the best bet in the NBA. And here's something else that I found really interesting. I have followed this for years. I recently wrote an article about it, is that teams that are off a 4-game or longer road trip in the NBA, like Indiana is tonight, okay, those teams in their first game back home are only 12-25 against the spread. So with the number going in the favor of Indiana, I will be on Phoenix plus the points in tonight's game.
Wow. So what is the line?
The line is up to 12.
Wow, so you're getting double digits.
Exactly. Double digits with a team that is the top cover team and is 17-6 against the spread on the road. And then plus the other thing I just mentioned about because teams coming back after a long road trip, it just takes a while to groove. Like single guys, they want to go hang with their friends, having not seen their friends. the married guys, they got, even though they're gone, when they come home, if they have kids or if they just have the wife, hey, you know what? They got responsibilities when they get home. So a lot of times they're distracted, and this is not news. I mean, this has been going on for years. I just happened to just update it again recently, but the numbers are the same almost always as they are. I mean, roughly, under 40% of the time do these teams cover, year after year after year.
Yeah, it's talking like 36% or something. Yeah. What do you think of what Arizona and Syracuse are doing, man? Is that impressive or what?
You have to love both teams. I'm going to throw Wichita State in there too, as being or not Michigan, but I mean being undefeated. Arizona, love that team. Just they're so good on defense. Last night was a struggle, no question, and it brought out some of their weaknesses. But Michigan, missing all those players, but yet here they go. Just point to the brilliance of John Beilein as a coach. Syracuse, an exceptional component. I hate to go old school on this one here, but the Syracuse is like the Beatles. Maybe not always individually great, okay, but collectively when you put them together, man, they're making sweet music. And and talk about looking forward to something. How about that Duke-Syracuse game on Saturday?
Oh boy, that is going to be a war. That's going to be a war, man.
36,000 people are going to be there.
You think?
For a basketball game.
That's the best part about Syracuse. It's just, my goodness, you can pack that. Now that's home court advantage. If there ever was one, they have it. I mean, there's no doubt, and you know that. You know that place is going to be an absolute madhouse, Doug. Oh my goodness. But Duke's not afraid.
Oh no. I mean, what would Duke ever be afraid of? I mean, with Krzyzewski as coach, and now that Jabari Parker's starting to play better, they have tremendous 3-point shooting themselves, and so and this, even though the zone is very effective for Syracuse, they do have, this isn't they don't have quite the length that they've had in the prior years at the top, as part of the 2-3. So I think that because Duke has some very good 3-point shooters, I think they'll some very. Okay, it's just a matter of the ball rotation. That's where Syracuse really gets you, is when you try to rotate the ball from side to side. They got quick hands, and they anticipate very well. But yeah, so it again should be fantastic. And I don't care, like even Jabari Parker, as good as he is and everything else. When you're 18 years old and you walk out there and there's 36,000 people essentially dressed in orange, I don't care. That's intimidating, man.
Yeah, it is, and I just hope Ennis is okay. I don't know if you saw, he kind of rolled his ankle a little bit, and boy, I hope he's okay to go. I hope he's okay to go, because that obviously, huge injury. If he's not there, Syracuse isn't exactly deep. I mean, they go 7 deep, maybe 8 if they bring in Robinson late, but man, that's going to be obviously Syracuse's biggest challenge of the year. Obviously, I mean, this is the type of game that they knew. When they came to the ACC, if they're going to have to play Duke twice a year, that is not going to be an easy task at all. But at least they get him at home.
Exactly, at least this year. Yep, that's going to be key. And then tonight, different games too. You had asked me, and one game that caught my eye is I do like Michigan tonight against Purdue.
Wow.
It's a fairly hefty spread. It's 12.5, but Michigan is 8-1 and 6-1 against the spread at home, and Purdue only shoots 39% on the road. And in fact, in their last 3 games, they haven't shot above 36%. I watched them play against Wisconsin, and even though Wisconsin isn't what I would call quick or fast, they were certainly much more so than what Purdue is. So with Michigan, yes, they're a little bit off the big game, but I think the separation of dates has been far enough away after the win against Michigan State, and I think it might not happen in the first half, but just because of their skill level and everything, I think they end up pulling away and win somewhere in the 17-point range or so against Purdue tonight.
Wow, that's some chalk right there. That's a lot of points away. But you're right about Purdue, though. They're just not a real team. I mean, they're not built to go anywhere and do anything. So that could be a nice play. Double digits is tough. It is what it is. It's double digits. I mean, you got to win. You ever get involved? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Doug. Go ahead.
No, I really wasn't going anywhere. I throw out one other one that's of interest tonight, and is Cincinnati and Louisville. That's the ESPN game at 7 Eastern, and that should be good. I'm going to stay away from that game until knowing for sure, because I have not heard yet, but Cincinnati's top shot blocker and rebounder, Justin Jackson, he might be out. That has not been confirmed one way or the other that I've seen, at least to this point. And so if he can't go, any thoughts of taking Cincinnati plus the 9 because of how good their defense? I think that that you have to be either off the game or go towards Louisville in that case.
Yeah, that total is only 129 too. It's a pretty low total. 129.5. Which makes sense because Cincinnati's defense, like you said, is tremendous. I mean,
it's just suffocating.
Tremendous.
They really do a great job.
They do. And Louisville obviously likes to move the ball a little bit and run around, but yeah, without him on that court, that could be huge. I mean, now you're talking about 9. You're talking about 9 points. I mean, yeah. Right now, I'm seeing 9.5 right now.
Yeah, see, and if it becomes official that Jackson doesn't play, you only know it's going to go up. I mean, not to say that he's a player that needs distinction of multiple points, but I mean, nevertheless, I mean, you're one true, inside force, and if you don't have it and you have to go smaller with a backup, any team can overcome anything for one game, but on the road at Louisville, especially when Cincinnati struggles to score a lot of times, that just gets tough.
Yeah, that game could be in the 50s easy, real quick.
Yep. Real
quick. Anything else you want to mention, Doug, before we let you get you out of here?
No, that's essentially it. You mentioned hockey earlier. I do have a little bit different ways of doing hockey, and it's not for everybody because I play mostly on good-sized favorites or against bad teams. This is the system that I developed. Like I said, right now, at this exact moment, I'm 37-12 straight up with the numbers. But when I suffer losses, they can be costly. And that's why I have to hit a high percentage. But it's been very successful for me the last 2 years, and so I go with it. And so, for example, tonight, I got it earlier, but I will be on the Bruins tonight. It opened at 170, and I happened to catch it at 175 on the money line, and it's up to 200 I saw. So I definitely have lost some value on it, but I think that the Bruins are going to be the play tonight over Montreal. They've been fantastic at home all season, and their scoring of late, like I said, they just been lighting the lamp like crazy. So I really like their chances tonight.
Yeah, if you look back at all the Boston games, I don't think they've hit less than 5 goals in at least 6 weeks. There's always 5 goals there. So to actually see even a 2-2 game here and walk away with a push with the 3-2, I personally have no problem with that, especially with the line only being minus 105 on the 5. I mean, it's not like I have to pay any juice for my total there. So, hopefully you hit your bet too, man. Nice bet.
Exactly.
There is a lot of juice there, bro. Do you ever play the two-way line, like what to win in regulation type stuff?
No, I'm just pretty much in that regard. I'm pretty much old school. I just, I try and keep it simple. I honestly don't play any hockey totals except maybe during the Stanley Cup, because trying to, literally like in college basketball on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday, I literally go through every game. Okay, I mean, so I formulate a line on every game, and then have my methods of going about it. So I just don't have the time, along with the other things that I'm doing, to spend a lot of time on totals. And so some people are really good at it. I'm not even going to pretend to say that I'm even remotely good at it. So I try and focus on what I do best, and and work it from there.
That's cool. All right, Doug. Before we let you go, tell everybody where they can find you and what sites you want to recommend to people to help find you and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So my name again is Doug Upstone. You can find me obviously on Twitter and Facebook under that name, and the name of the site is 3 Daily Winners. And what you get there, and it's with the number 3, by the way, 3dailywinners.com. Everybody, if you buy, I have 2 other guys that are also handicappers. B&B Documented Plays and The Wise Guy are also on my site. And if you buy a week from us or you buy a month at a very good price, you get everyone's picks. Okay, so it's just not mine. You can buy individuals' picks, but if you buy a week or a month, you get everybody's picks, during the time. Right now, in our last, 220 plays, we've hit 60%, so we win. And if you want that NFL play, get it from me in my last, this is documented now, in my last 22 plays in the NFL. I've hit 20. It's been fantastic. So it's really gone well. Hey, believe me, I know I'm as lucky as the next person when it comes to that right now, but just have been in a great groove, and it made it happen.
Nice, man. Well, you're talking to somebody who was 13 and won the NFL playoffs themselves.
Excellent.
Everybody who's been following me, I went on a New York Sportscast and gave out 5 plays during the division round. Went 5-0 and went 4-1 last weekend. I'm doing quite well myself. When are you gonna start putting football on there, man? And I'm talking Italian football. You know, whenever you start getting involved with any kind of soccer and Italian football, you let me know.
You know what? Like I told you, that's we'll find a way to make that work.
Yeah, I've been following that Italian Serie A since 1983, man. So you're talking to somebody.
You're old school. Yep.
Yeah, love it. Obviously, I host my own radio show for that as well. So
Right.
But,
that's great.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Doug, really thanks so much for coming on the show and talking all sorts of sports, letting everybody know where they can find you. And you can get Doug's pick for the Super Bowl over at HistoryDailyWinners.com site, and you find him on Twitter, give him a follow, and say, can you remind me of where I can find your stuff, and Doug will definitely let you know how to find them. Doug,
Absolutely.
It's been great. I hope we can have you on again soon.
On your show.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here.
All right, thanks again. Appreciate it, and good luck to you this weekend.
Good luck to you, man. Thanks for throwing out some plays and some stuff for everybody today.
My pleasure. All right, take care then.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye now.
Great. That was great. Now that's fun. Poor Lisa had to sit here and just kind of hang out, and while we're doing our stuff, and that's fun. Doug is really good at what he does. It's really kind of why we got a hold of him, because he definitely has a good following. His website's pretty respected, and he definitely puts up some numbers, so that's kind of cool. Next coming up on the show, we're going to have Jimmy Spence from JSA Authentication. We met him at the baseball card show that we went to. If you go to my Twitter page at EJ the Rainmaker, you can see me taking a couple pictures there at the show. And go ahead, honey, what are you going to say?
No, I enjoyed what you guys said. I mean, it's a little over my head when it comes to the numbers, so I just want to let people know that you're actually, you've helped me learn a little bit more about the numbers part of the sporting industry, but you're also starting to write some documents that will help beginners understand what all this stuff was that you guys talked about. So, look, we're going to be talking more about that, and you're going to be having that. When do you think that would be ready?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like Lisa's saying here, I really wasn't sure if we were going to discuss it on the air, but writing a book. It's pretty much involved with, mostly for the beginners of who are looking to get into the sports industry, and what you need to know when you're getting started, and how to go about not only making bets but being smart about it, and not going overboard, and knowing your terms, knowing knowing what sportsbook to use, what sportsbooks offer, what kind of plays and packages, and bonuses. And there's so many different sportsbooks out there that everyone's kind of afraid. Well, if I put my money there, what's going to happen to it? Will I ever see it again? And there's a lot of safe stuff going on, but. We're going to get started here with Jim. We have Jim on the line from JSA Authentication. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for having me on.
Well, of course, man. You were so pleasant when we went to the car show down in Westchester. We you signed a copy of your book for us, and really thank you so much for being on the show.
No problem.
Now, I want to get into this with you, and I'm reading your book. The team baseball book that you have that you signed for us, and I definitely want to get into some stuff with you, and more about the concerns that people have when they have signed documents. I mean, how do they know where to go to get the best certificates and letters that help them clarify what they're actually holding?
Well, I'll tell you what, it really stems from years ago when I was a dealer, and I noticed that there was no governing or regulation whatsoever of autographs, and people didn't know where to go, and they were following stories and blindly buying items and really not being able to find any educated source in terms of getting some legitimacy in purchasing their products. So I gave up buying and selling many years ago, and I really educated myself very well in the authentication business, and I started it up, and it was a hit almost immediately. And since then, people have found a safe haven to come to, and something that's going to add value to their items. And that's very important, so that down the road, if they ever wanted to sell it, keep it as an investment or just a keepsake, that they can feel comfortable with passing it along to the next buyer or the next owner.
Tell people about how they go about this. What's the difference between the certification of authenticity is and then just having a simple letter of authenticity? What's the difference?
Well, we have a couple of different forms of authenticity. One is our basic cert. The basic cert is for the lesser-priced items, things that virtually have values under $200. It's a alphanumerical number that coincides with our website, and it doesn't make it any less authentic than something that we give for a letter. It's just a different form, and it's a bit cheaper of a service fee than having a full letter, which has a picture. It's much more descriptive on it. They both go into our database, and it just allows people with lesser-priced items to use our service as well as the ones of greater grandeur.
Nice.
Well, I have a question regarding personalized autographs. I mean, I get a lot of fun out of going and meeting somebody and having them sign the autograph to Lisa. But
okay.
Does that diminish the value? Will that prevent me from selling it down the road?
It does, especially for you, Lisa, unless you're famous or infamous for something. A lot of times people don't mind paying extra if, say, Elvis Presley was signing a photograph to Paul McCartney. Then that kind of personalization would actually enhance the value of something. But when it's to someone that's not notable, it's very difficult, or makes it more difficult to sell that item unless it's a pretty rare autograph to begin with. But anything really that's been signed in the last, 20, 30 years, I wouldn't really consider it rare because of the nature of our industry, of the hobby, and how many things are indeed getting signed these days.
You must have some of the coolest things come through your desk to be looked at and authenticated. What has been whether it's the coolest thing or the most valuable item that you've ever worked on?
Interestingly enough, it's probably not the most expensive item, but the coolest item I think I've ever seen was at a defunct auction house out in Illinois one time. What they had was the prosthetic leg of Bill Veeck, who used to own a number of different ball clubs back in the 1950s and 60s and even into the 70s. And what he had done is, I guess, got a new leg, and he gave his old one and had signed it, and it hung in a bar for decades until, I guess, the bar closed up, and then somebody consigned it and sold that particular leg. And I thought, at the time, until to this day, that it was probably the most interesting item I've seen signed.
Wow.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Now, Bill Veeck obviously is the guy who did all the stadium promotions and he was involved with all the great early promotions that got people into the stadium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was definitely like the P.T. Barnum of his era. That's the way I look at it.
No doubt about it. Obviously, everybody has a concern about stuff that was signed by someone who actually didn't sign it. In your book, you did a whole bunch of clubhouse case studies with how, like, Pete Previtt would sign Mickey Mantle stuff, and the Browns, Giovanni would do Brooklyn stuff. How do you get the concerns, and what makes you know the difference between almost like a secretarial signing, as you mentioned it? How do you really tell the difference?
It's quite eclectic, actually. I mean, I was a collector for many years. Understand that I'm a third-generation collector. My son, who runs our office down in Florida, is the fourth generation, all of our names being James. What I did is I collected samples of autographs for years. I had compiled this huge database of over 500,000 autographs, and I started comparing the signatures of these different years and keeping them in perfect chronological order. And I spoke to old-timers, and they would give me little tidbits and concerns that they had, and just educating myself to the hilt. And to this day, I'm still feeding that file. And what it did is it allows me to make see the differences in the autographs from the eras, the different eras, and also attribute it to who was doing that work. If you talk to enough people and educate yourself, you're going to find out, the truth and what happened many years ago. And in this case, when we're talking about Previtt or DiGiovanna, they weren't doing it maliciously. They were doing it. It was part of their job. It was sanctioned by the clubhouse, the club, and that's what happened back in those days, and it was perfectly acceptable, and nobody knew the difference, so everybody was happy.
Yeah. I also want to ask you about your book is in the last 30 or 35 pages of your book, you have all these signed baseballs by teams over the history of the game. How did you come about getting those pictures in your book? Because there's a tremendous amount of teams in here. You're talking about the 62 Yankees, the 71 Pirates. You have all these team signed baseballs. How did you come about getting the photos to get these in the book?
Well, interestingly enough, I've been into, our letters of authenticity are accepted by every major auction house in the country, and I'm permitted to take examples, take pictures, scans of all of these balls. In addition to that, the co-author, John Mitnick, is a very accomplished collector. He has a world-class collection of team-signed baseballs, so he loaned many of his images to the book for the sake of making this, the best possible book that it is.
Wow.
With the advent of the internet and people selling things online, you could go to a lot of these places and they say, oh, it's for charity, so-and-so signed this and that. When I'm seeing you in person and I'm looking at something and I can see that it's been signed, that's one thing. What kind of tip would you give our listeners when dealing on the internet and trying to buy something by auction or charity or just from somebody else selling it? What should we keep in mind when dealing with those autographs?
Well, a couple of things that people should look out for so they don't suffer the pitfalls is, number one, look at what kind of reaction that the person has on eBay to see if they are a vendor in good standing, if they have good feedback. That's number one. That does not mean that everything that somebody sells is valid, but it's a start. You can see the history of a person if they've, been a good vendor on eBay. Second, I would insist that it comes with a letter of authenticity from their choice. Now, if they're selling it without that, I would say that on the bill of sale, it should mention that the deal is not consummated until it gets authenticated. And the person that's buying it can do that. So allow yourself, probably 45 days to get it authenticated. Then I would pay with a credit card. That I believe would empower the person in case there was a problem. If you pay with a money order or check or even cash, could run into a problem where you're not going to be able to get restitution if something comes up sour with the deal. So, and then fourth is something that I'm really trying to impress upon people, is educate yourself. Just don't buy things and not look at things yourself and check it against other things and find out, the rarity of things and match it up and try and educate yourself so that you're becoming more than just a collector. You're becoming an educated collector for the value of your collection, or if you're buying it for other people.
Speaking of collections, what if you have something that you want to sell? What's the opposite? What should you keep in mind if you're going to sell things?
Well, if you're going to sell it, I would really recommend for somebody to get it authenticated ahead of time, because you're going to empower yourself. If there's a lot of dealers out there or very astute collectors that are looking to pick things off, say on eBay or maybe some smaller auction houses that do not use any type of formal authentication. So a lot of people, what they do is when they're trying to buy, they're looking at eBay for, say, our company, JSA, along with the name. So if you're looking for Mickey Mantles that are done by JSA, they'll put that right into the title, therefore skipping over anything that's not authenticated by JSA. So you're going to enhance your chances of getting the best value, the most money for your items if you get it pre-authenticated, as opposed to, telling the person that's the winning bidder, I guarantee it after the fact. Or, people don't generally want to hear that. They want the deal to go through at the beginning and not have to worry about problems thereafter. And it does happen. We see many cases of that where a person may use our name in the title stating this will pass. It hasn't passed necessarily at that time, but it will pass JSA Authentication, and then it doesn't. And then, having to deal with the shipping back and the charges and the hassles involved. People, you could chase a lot of people out of our industry by having a bad experience, a bad business experience.
Yeah, that's for sure. Also in your book, I want to mention in Chapter 9, you were talking about preservation and storage and the management of the ball. And I was looking at the protective coating that you were mentioning about to coat and not to coat. But do people actually really coat their ball with nail polish? And what do you recommend people do if they really want to preserve but not ruin an autograph?
Well, years ago, people used to use things like shellac or spar varnish or even nail polish I've seen in a number of cases. And in some cases it actually protected the autograph, but it's not something I'd recommend. If you had number one, you should keep the item out of sunlight or any type of UV light and be concerned about that because it's very destructive to it. Balls are not necessarily meant to be signed, but a lot of people enjoy them. So you have to have the proper pen to begin with. If you're going to use a very fine ink, such as one out of a Parker pen, for example, you're looking for trouble because there's not enough the ink does not have the iron content that would, say, a Bic pen would have, or a Papermate pen. These are better for signing baseballs. They seep into the leather better, and they tend to retain their indelibility over a period of time. So starting off with the right pen, the right medium is important. You don't want to have a ball sign on one of these plastic or vinyl balls because they'll tend to spread or smear over a period of time. So, you want to go to the leather balls, the cowhide leather balls, as opposed to that. Now, keeping the ball, you could use a very fine film of an artist's spray, which they use, but you're running a risk because, again, if that ink isn't exactly what it should be on that ball, it could indeed spread and therefore smear, and over a period of time, it'll get worse and worse. So it might be best just to house these in a climate-controlled environment, never in a basement or an attic or a garage, and just keep them, as much out of the sunlight as possible.
Yeah, and don't handle it too often either, from what I'm reading.
Yeah, right. You have chemicals on your hands, and if they're getting over the ball, I always hold the ball by its laces when I'm inspecting a ball. Never, put your palm of your hand onto the signatures on the ball because you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, people don't realize how important that really is. Yeah. Now, Jim, I understand that you're going to give away a signed copy of your book. Tell people what they can do to go about getting a signed copy of your book from you.
Well, if anyone mentions that they've heard this the interview or this show spot, along with their submission of $50 or more as a submission fee, I'll sign a book and send that along with the order. So if you go onto our website and you find our website of SpenceLOA.com, it's easy enough if you could follow the directions on how to submit an item, and I'll provide that as a gift to the person, any of our listeners.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Now, I understand you're going to be at the New York show here in Westchester on March 23rd weekend?
Correct, yes. I attend all those. In fact, I've been in that building doing shows for almost 25 years. So, and I'm very approachable. I mean, anybody can come up to the table and bring their items, and they'll see me right there. Yeah, you were pretty nice to us. I mean, I know when we approached you, you were like, yeah, sure, glad to come on the air. You signed me over a little thing to me and Lisa. We totally appreciate that. And
where else now? You're out of Florida and New Jersey too. Where else do you appear?
Well, we're actually all over the country. If you went to our events and appearances throughout our website, you'll see that we are all over. Any given weekend, we're probably in 4 or 5 different cities, and we have consultants and other people that help us out all over the country. So, our office in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, has a schedule that they keep of their own, and up from in our Parsippany office in New Jersey, we send people out. And I mean, just right here in New Jersey, we have 2 events this particular weekend, one in Lyndhurst, New Jersey on Friday and Saturday, and then there's another one down in Boundbrook, New Jersey, which is Super Bowl Sunday, and we get it in, I guess it closes up at about 3 or 4 o'clock, so everybody can get home and watch the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. This is a lot of fun. I mean, we went to the show, and it's just really exciting to see all these autographs and things and memorabilia that's out there. And that's when we realized that we had to do a show on this because so many people had questions that we had. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, understand this is my passion as well. I mean, it's not just a business for me. I am an avid collector. I love talking about this. I love collecting. I get a kick out of getting even a $10 item of Roy White added to my collection. That gives me a great thrill. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to talk to them about something that has been part of my life, my entire life, I should say.
Sounds good. And hopefully down the road you'll come on the show again if we get any people who have other questions for you.
That'd be great. I'd love it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being here.
All righty. Take care now.
Thanks,
Jim.
Bye.
Bye now.
That's all.
That was fun.
That's a lot of fun. I mean, Jim was so nice to us. He was actually one of the first people that we approached at the show. I mean, we were kind of intimidated, wondering how are we going to approach these people? These people have heard it all, seen it all. Some of these guys have been doing it like Jim has for 25, 30 years. They've been approached by every schmuck and their mother probably in their lifetime saying, who are these people? And he signed us a copy of his book. He's like, it was definitely nice to meet you, EJ and Lisa. Thanks for coming over and talking to us. And Jim was more than nice. We got a hold of him just this week and said, you mind coming on the air and telling people about what you do? And he was great at that. That's great.
Yeah. So before we talk about a few other little things and let everybody go for the day, just want to remind everybody we mentioned early on about having our pork rinds ready for
Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday. I'm going to start to cough. But we forgot to tell people that Rudolph Foods is still giving away some pork rinds. Yeah. They're giving them away up until the Super Bowl Sunday. So we have another package that we could give away to you listeners. So please make sure that you tweet us at Palooza Radio. I'm close. Hey,
at Palooza Radio on Twitter, yeah.
At Palooza Radio on Twitter, and let us know that you want to be in the running to get a bag of pork rinds. And, again, remember that Jim is giving away a copy of his book. So we have a lot going on. We have a lot coming up in the next few weeks, too, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, he just said, spend $50 on our website, which is basically nothing. Because, I mean, if you're going to have anything authenticated through Jim, it's going to be a fee. So basically, if you just really basically have anything authenticated through Jim, he'll give you a copy of the book, and he's a pretty nice guy.
I also want to tell people that we're going to be someplace new where they're going to be able to read more material from us, and we've actually partnered with a site called Real Life with Jane, and that is REEL, like a movie reel, lifewithjane.com, mainly because we also talk about sports entertainment. So we've been asked to be a blogger there, so you'll see some material from us coming up soon on her site. Check out her site. I've known her for years. It's an awesome entertainment site, and she's venturing into the sports entertainment world and, of course, turned to us to cover that material for her. So we're really excited about that opportunity as well.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Now, last week we mentioned that we had Ralph Carhart. We met him at the baseball show as well. Him and his wife, Anna, we're going to be sitting down with them tomorrow, and we're going to be going over some stuff about what we could do to help him promote his whole baseball show that he's doing. So we'll next week we'll probably have Ralph on, and we're going to talk to him about what he's doing with the Hall of Fame ball and how that's going to be working out. So that'll be exciting. We'll let you know about everything that he's got going on with trying to find all the Hall of Famers. That'll be a great story to have on.
Yeah, that's really fun. That's one thing that's we saw so many different things. I mean, hopefully we're going to have the guy on within the next month or two that had that big Babe Ruth collection. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And, I know you're searching for the card, so, but...
No, I think that was Randy, if I remember right. Let me find the card, though. Yeah, it was Randy Cook. He was talking Sports 2000. His Babe Ruth memorabilia thing was...
mind-boggling.
It was.
It really was mind-boggling. I mean, he had signed documents by Babe Ruth, signed baseballs, bats.
Remember the golf tee, the golfing... He went golfing. I guess one of his friends went golfing with Babe Ruth, and Babe Ruth actually signed the scorecard on the spot. It was pretty cool stuff.
I mean, and his knowledge of Babe Ruth is amazing, and he travels with this, and he sells the items, and he finds new items, and we definitely want to get him on the show to talk about his exhibit. So I'm excited about that. Switching gears real quick, we were going to talk about this. It's sports entertainment related, but I want to make sure that we talk about this. You want to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay. Everybody knows that we touch upon the WWE here, and something kind of interesting has been happening. The other day, apparently, CM Punk, one of the most popular wrestlers in WWE, has quit. Just upped and quit and said that he was not going to be participating, and told Vince McMahon prior to going on air that he was going to go home. And that was it for him. Now, typically it's difficult because in this industry you never know really what's storyline and what's true. But based on all the reports out there, this really does seem to be true, and apparently there's been some difficulty between CM Punk and the administration about his role in the industry and how he was being used, and he was not happy. It's disappointing to see somebody that's got that much charisma and following, and he's such a big entertainment value for that company to just walk away.
Yeah. Don't
know what happened behind the scenes. Hope that it turns around, but apparently he's been taking off all these events that are coming up, and storylines have been changed because of this. So that's a big deal in this industry, and we don't believe that it's part of the storyline. We'll have to see. But that kind of made for some excitement this week, and I hope he comes back. He's a lot of fun.
He is a lot of fun. He probably just said, you know what, I'm sick and tired of fighting the Shield and the Wyatt family, and if you're actually going to bring out corporate Kane for me to beat up every once in a while, this is not what I'm here for. Who knows how that story really went, but yeah, he, I can imagine why he's tired of the whole authority thing.
And I think that it makes it more difficult because we never know with this company, like I just said, you never know what's really part of the storyline and what they're doing for publicity purposes, because they have, SummerSlam coming up down the road. I mean, WrestleMania and all that, and all their big pay-per-views and the changeover of their new network. They want the publicity. So are they using him for this? I don't know. Apparently a lot of fans say no, that he really is gone, but time will tell, and we'll see if it's just something that can be worked out and he can be brought back.
Yeah, me too.
So that's the sports entertainment news.
Yeah. Also, I want to get into some hockey with everybody.
I'll sit out.
We talked about hockey. Me, Doug, and I talked about some hockey in the NHL coming up, but also, obviously February 8th, the NHL is going to stop playing until February 25th, so they can do the Olympics, because the Olympics kick off on February 12th. For the hockey segment, on February 12th, Group C is going to start playing hockey with Czech Republic and Sweden and Latvia and Switzerland. February 13th, Slovakia is playing the United States, and they're in Group A with Russia and Slovenia, who's also playing on the 13th. Canada and Norway and Finland and Austria are in Group B, and they're going to be playing on the 13th as well. And I made a big thread over at sportspalooza.com. If you want to check the NHL section over at sportspalooza.com, right under there, I made a whole Olympic section where we're going to have the Olympic hockey coverage and any other Olympic events that anybody wants to post about, whether it's not pertaining to hockey or not. Feel free to go to sportspalooza.com and pitch in your ideas for either the hockey segment or anything else that there would be, action on or plays for. Get involved in any kind of Olympic events, which there are going to be plenty of, obviously. That'd be cool. So, obviously the playoffs start for the Olympics on February 18th. The gold medal game is on February 23rd, and then they get back to playing hockey. Obviously, last Olympics, Canada beat the United States in the final in 2010 in Vancouver. I'm not happy about that. All right. Let's get out of here. I think we got everything covered that we got to get. You can check us out at radio.sportspalooza.com. You can check out the forum at sportspalooza.com. You can check out our Twitter page at Palooza Radio. And, obviously thanks to everybody who listed us on their site. Rudolph Foods helps us out, obviously. Ultimate Sports Talk that helps us. New York Sports Podcast helps us out. Sports Codex helps us out. Obviously we're getting all in. Like you said, your real life with Jane with our EEL Real Life. She's going to be helping us out too. So we're getting our name all over the place now.
Absolutely. They know that we're the new voice in sports.
That's it.
So you ready to go?
All right.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody.
Yeah, everybody have a good time. I hope all your bets go well whenever you're betting, and if you listen to anything we ever said, you know how that's going to go. And all right, let's get out of here.
Until next week.
Bye.